Hello everybody and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Tim Pearce. I am accompanied today by my colleague Dan Keane. The idea of today's presentation is to provide an insight as to how BTC software can help businesses to save money on accountancy fees, control financial compliance and work to HMRC deadlines. Just want to touch on what's included in BTC Software's corporate package. So the package itself includes a central database. The central database provides administration features designed to enable company creation and upload. There is the option to run reports and reminders and set recurrences against reports. There is key dates which are presented to you in the format of reports. That ties in with the report element. And in addition, we include document management, and that links with both e-signing and GDPR protection, all of which we feel is relevant to the majority of businesses with whom we work. Now, the main crux of the product starts with our accounts production. So our accounts production integrates with all of the major bookkeeping packages. So by that I mean Xero, Free Agent, QuickBooks, Sage and others. The accounts production will produce the all-important ICL file required by HMRC, which is obviously attached to the corporation tax return for submission purposes. The software also creates the filleted sets of accounts. So it's almost a byproduct, the filleted accounts, which are created and sent to Companies House for submission. And we offer two-way integration. By that I mean if you're importing a trial balance from any of the key players within the bookkeeping sector, as I've referenced earlier, or even if you're introducing a trial balance by a lesser known accounting provider, we have the option to create amendments within the year-end accounts and journal back out into the bookkeeping package, therefore providing reconciliation with potential journals. The corporation tax module, so obviously the corporation tax module works hand in hand with the year-end accounts. The corporation tax payable figure is automatically worked out, so that's shown within the corporation tax module. It actually feeds back, so there's two-way integration between the accounts and the corporation tax return software element, because if you were to create the detail within the year-end accounts, having moved from accounts into corporation tax, then feeds in the corporation tax provision figure back out into the accounting module. There are additional schedules that you as a business owner may require. So my colleague Dan will be showing and highlighting some of those schedules available. In addition to that, the corporation tax, if it were say over 12 months of age, then the software calculates this and allows for two separate tax returns. Okay, so we're going to move into the software now. So we have brought to life the software. The software, it's important to mention at this juncture, is available both for business owners, accountants in industry, and also agents, so accountants with a number of clients. But in this case, we're focusing on the requirement for a business outside of the environment of working with an agency. So what I should do initially is click on the company whom I've created. You can see there it's Smith Software of Hammersmith. I'm just going to show some of the client features from the central database that I alluded to on the first slide. So the first tab, if we look from left to right, relates to details of the company. So company details, your details as they stand. So you do have the option to reference the company, but that's more of an internal reference design if you're an agent. For your own purposes, you may want to forego that, but you can, as you can see, create detail in relation to the client. So we have details such as nature of trade, your registration number, your UTRs, tax districts, etc. That type of pertinent information. As a side point, if you are to onboard the company details into the database, we do have a company house search check to enable you to follow that process. This is a shortcut to uploading information. The next screen that's pertinent as a business owner or an accountant in industry is key dates around the company. So you can see here we have various key dates shown in relation to payroll, VAT, corporation tax, and company's house. Again, alluding to the first slide that I showed, this will come to you in the format of reports and reminders around the key dates to ensure that you're not missing any deadlines. Contact details is relatively straightforward. They're your personal addresses in relation to the business. Associated individuals, this is the opportunity to associate yourself, or if you're an accountant industry, the relevant persons within the business. So you have a number of directors listed for this particular organisation. If you're working as part of a group, there's the ability to recognise that within the Associated Organisations tab, and that will be a shortcut to the associated organisation. You can use the software to create appointments. There is within the software also the option to run various reports in terms of your status reports in relation to the business or businesses. Probably the main report would be the pending events report, which is going to provide a holistic view of all of the outstanding events in association with the business or businesses if it's part of a group. So this might be superfluous in terms of design primarily for accountants who are managing their clients as opposed to business owners or accountants in industry. But nevertheless, if you wanted a quick glance or the relevant dates, that's available to you within the Reports tab. Tasks and tax returns. This is how we move into the year-end accounts and start to work with various bookkeeping packages. Dan will take over at that point and show how to import a trial balance and how to start to build up the year-end accounts. So we'll come back to tasks, tax, and accounts production returns in a second. That's how you kickstart the compliance. Reports and letters is primarily designed, I believe, for agents as opposed to business accountants or accountants in industry or business owners. But folders and files is worthwhile looking at. So the software enables you to save documents in association with the business. So you can move in documents or wholesale files if you wish. It's a nice central point of moving data into the database that's relevant to the business. I think finally, before I hand over to Dan, it's worthwhile showing you the notes section. So if you wanted to add any notes in relation to compliance, you can do that within the notes tab. There's an option there to open up the notes section and reference the relevant detail. So from here, Dan will show you the real meat and drink of the product, which is in terms of building up the year-end accounts and also filing the associated tax return. So without further ado, I'll pass you over to Dan. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Tim. Okay, so as Tim rightly said, the Tasks, Tax and AP Returns tab is where you're going to get to all of that compliance. So this is going to be your main tab, your bread and butter tab, if you like, in order to get to those year-end accounts and the corporation tax return. So firstly, what we're going to start off with is building up a set of year-end accounts. Now, the way that we're going to do that is choose the Add option under the Tasks, Tax and AP Returns tab. And we're going to go to the event type and we're going to choose year-end accounts from the drop-down. Now you can see these ones in bold up at the top here in this bold font. These are my system-defined events, which events that are system-generated. All of the events outside of that bold font are all customized events that I've brought into the software to track through the different reports that Tim mentioned earlier. So we saw that pending events report briefly. If you're looking for a practice management solution or a solution to track any sort of deadlines or reminders for the business, then you can customize your own events to include these within the software. But what we're going to focus on now is the year-end accounts. So I'm going to select year-end accounts from my drop-down. Now you'll notice there, as I selected year-end accounts, it's automatically picked up my accounting period. Now the reason it's doing that is because it's rolling it forward from this prior year set of year-end accounts that I have for the business. Now, if it's your first year of using the software, or you have maybe a period longer than 12 months, you can use the calendar drop-down to select that accounting period. So it's nice and simple. Now, if you want to track this through the different reports, you can choose a start date, a due date, and a reminder date and time, and that will bring up a reminder to remind you of that specific year-end accounts task, or a customized task should you choose to include them. Now, when you're ready, you can view and edit the year-end accounts, and that'll open up a year-end accounts summary. So it's going to bring through all the business details from the Details tab, and importantly, it's going to choose or allow us to choose our accounts production template. So this is where you need to choose the correct template for the size of your business, whether you're a company large or medium, company small, or you may be a micro entity. Now, it's already selected the correct accounts production template for me, for my business, which is the company small template. And after we've done that, we can open up the year-end accounts, and that will transition us now directly into the year-end accounts from our business management screen. Okay, so we get a notification there saying, are we sure we want to roll forward the trial balance from that prior year that we already had? So in which case we're going to say yes, as we need a prior year, or we need prior year figures within the prior year column. So I'm going to select yes. And we're presented with the cover page for the set of accounts here. And if I move my cursor over to the left-hand side into the table of contents, you can see the different pages of the year-end accounts report for our business. So we've got the different pages here. We've got the contents page, the profit and loss, the balance sheet. And if I scroll down to the extended trial balance, and I'm just going to move my cursor over to the right-hand side, you can see where we've rolled forward from the prior year, our figures have entered into column J there, into the prior year column. Now, there are two main ways that we can get our figures for the current year into our extended trial balance. Now, the first way is that we can just manually key the figures directly in against the descriptions, which you can see listed in column B. Now, if I manually key those figures in, if I go to my profit and loss, you can see it's automatically going to fill it out within my profit and loss. Now, the other way that we can get our figures in is if you're using an Excel spreadsheet or a bookkeeping package. Now, if I go to trial balance import and choose the drop down, you can see the types of bookkeeping packages that we work with. Now, if you do build up a trial balance on a spreadsheet for the business, you can choose the custom option, save that spreadsheet as a CSV file, and bring that into the trial balance mapping screen that we're looking at here. Now, as Tim rightly mentioned, there's 4 online bookkeeping packages that we work with specifically. So QuickBooks Online, Free Agent, Reckon 1, and Xero. If you're using any of those packages, you've got the two-way integration that's available within the software. Now, if you're not using any of those packages, maybe if you're using Sage or any of the others, you can download as a CSV, same as you would do with a spreadsheet, and import it that way. Now, my example that I'm going to be showing you today is using Xero. Now, as opposed to just having the option to browse for that CSV file, I've also got an option to download. And if I select download, it'll open up Xero directly from within our software. Now, we can log into Xero using our email and password. And we can allow access for 30 minutes. Now, if we select yes to import, we'll get to our trial balance mapping screen. So what we're seeing here is these Xero codes and descriptions are being mapped to our ledgers and accounts, so the software knows which boxes to put these figures in. Now, if you're using a different package, you may have different codes and descriptions. That's the only difference that will be in here. Otherwise, the trial balance mapping screen looks exactly the same. And it works in like a traffic light system would, in that it successfully mapped these ledgers and accounts in this green color that we're seeing here. When you first import, you'll see a lot of yellows where the software is attempted to guess the ledger and account against the ID and description, and you can complete those off if they're correct. And these ones in red, it just means that we need to manually choose the ledger and account, which I'm going to do now. Now, where we're choosing these ledgers and accounts, where we roll forward into the following year, it's going to remember the mapping that we've done, so that we're only having to map the ledgers and accounts just the first time, and after that it will remember the ledgers and accounts from the previous years. So I'll map my last one here, and we've got a complete trial balance mapping screen. Now, if you were to imagine I were to roll forward into the following year and not introduce any new IDs or descriptions, I'm going to get a complete green trial balance mapping screen, so that all I'd have to do is choose import, select yes to import, and my figures will transfer into that column C, that current year column. There we go. Now, at the moment here, we're looking at a lot of boxes with no numerical value. So we do have a tool up at the top to combat that called the Collapse Empty Data tool. And if I select that, it's going to give us a much nicer view of our extended trial balance and get rid of those unnecessary boxes that we weren't using. Following that, all we have to do is check the accounts and generate the IXBRL file. Now remember, if you are a business, you do need that IXBRL file attached to the CT600. You cannot submit a CT600 without accounts in the IXBRL format, which is why you need to use our accounts production and not just the corporation tax module. So if I select check accounts and generate IXBRL file, now as I do this, I will have a couple of warnings appear, and it's a good chance to explain that we have both warning and error messages within the software that act as safety net features so that you can't go wrong. The software won't allow you to submit incorrect returns to Companies House and HMRC. Now, for the sake of the demo, I'm going to override these warnings here. And following that, we should get a nice message to say our year-end accounts were checked and that all-important IXBRL file generated successfully. There we go. Now, at any point, we can print the accounts. So if I go over to print and year-end accounts, I can select the different pages of the accounts. So at the moment, I'm selecting the full account, so you can see the full accounts listed there. And if I choose create, it will give me the different options. Now, the first option is you can use our My DocSafe functionality. So in line with GDPR, we've integrated with a company called My DocSafe for both e-signing and sending documents through a secure portal so they cannot be intercepted. We've got email, save as a PDF, print. We've also got the preview options. If I show you a quick preview. Now, this is an example of an edited covering letter. You can use the Reports and Letters tab earlier that Tim mentioned to introduce your own logo and letterhead into the cover page. And you can see we've got the different pages of the report. So we've got our profit and loss, our balance sheet, our notes to the accounts, and then our detailed P&L at the bottom. Now, as well as being able to log into the bookkeeping package directly from within our software, any adjustments that are made within BTCSoftware can automatically be posted back out into the bookkeeping package. Now, the way that we do that is choose the Journals option, select Add, choose a description of our journal. Now, I'm just going to do a quick example here. I'm just going to choose the top two options. So I'm just going to do turnover versus cost of sales. So I'm going to debit £100 out of sales, and we're going to move it into opening stock. Now, if I save and close that adjustment and select OK, you can see there it's just going to drop into column D. So that's my journal. Now, to post this back out into the bookkeeping package, all we do is print, journal export, select export. Now it's going to recognize that we've imported from 0 already, so it will default to 0 from the drop down. And if I select upload, and update, there we go. We get a nice message to say that journal has now been successfully uploaded into 0, and we haven't had to leave the software. So if now we want to view that in 0, we can select yes. log into Xero, and it will show me my journal. Now to move into the corporation tax, now that we've made that adjustment, we'll need to check and generate the accounts again. So we're going to check accounts and generate ICL File. We'll override the warnings, and then we should get that nice message again to say that the trial balance does balance. There were no issues, and the ICL File generated successfully. Now to move into the corporation tax module, I'll choose the small X to come out with the year-end accounts. We're back out into the year-end accounts summary that we were in earlier. Now we've got the option to open up the CT return. So if I select that option there, that'll open up a corporation tax return summary similar to the one that we're looking at here. Open up the CT Comp and CT 600, and that'll transfer us into the corporation tax module. Now we have two-way integration between the accounts and the tax module, so all of the figures that we've added into the year-end accounts, you can see, have been brought through into my first page within the table of contents, which is my adjustment of profits. Now if I go to the corporation tax calculation and scroll down slightly, you can see it's already worked out our corporation tax chargeable figure automatically, just from the figures that we've entered into the extended trial balance. Now for your business, if you've got any supplementary schedules, any capital allowances, capital gains, research and development, it's all covered in the supplementary schedules at the bottom here. Now, if we say this is a fairly simple corporation tax calculation, all I'm going to do here is check the return and generate the ICL file. And I'll show you some really quick examples of what an error message would look like within the software. So we saw a warning earlier. This is an example of an error. An error is something that's going to affect the final submission, so it won't allow you to override as we did with our warning. And you can see when you get an error within the software, it gives you a nice long description and also a box number, so you can't go wrong. So in this case, we're missing a declaration name and status, so box 975 and 985, so that if I go to those final boxes within my corporation tax form, I can enter those details in. Select check and generate now that I've eliminated those errors, and we should get a nice message to say that corporation tax return was checked and generated successfully. And that figure that we saw there in the corporation tax calculation will automatically post into the extended trial balance. So we won't have to rekey that in manually, as I'm sure most of you are doing at the moment. So if I choose the small X to come out of the corporation tax module, and we go back to our year-end accounts, open up the year-end accounts, go to my extended trial balance, and in column E, there's our corporation tax payable figure. Now this is also automatically added as a journal, so if you want to post all of your adjustments and the corporation tax provision back out into the bookkeeping package, you can do that all at once at the end. So now that we've got that figure in there, all we do is check accounts and generate ICL file one last time. We'll override the warnings again, and then we should get our nice message. There we go. So that's our year-end accounts finished. So that all that's left for us to do now is to submit them to Companies House. So if I choose a small X to come out of the year-end accounts module, select Submit Accounts. Firstly, we'll have to confirm that we have the authority to submit the accounts on behalf of the business. We've got the filleted and full accounts option, and we select Submit. Now I'm on a demo version of the product here, so I've got a submission failed, but hopefully you should have a nice message to say that the accounts were accepted by Companies House. So that's the year-end accounts done. So now all we do is move over to the corporation tax module, open up the CT Comp and CT 600. Now we're going to have to check and generate within here a final time now as we're attaching those IXBRL set of accounts that have that CT figure in them, so that we're updating the accounts to attach them with the CT 600 so it's in the mandatory format. So I can check and generate, so that it's now attaching those accounts to the CT 600 so that we can submit them both at the same time directly to HMRC. There we go. So we choose the small X to come out of the corporation tax module, select Submit to HMRC, Again, same as we did with Companies House, we have to confirm we have the authority on behalf of the business to submit, and select Submit. And there we go. So you've seen it's as simple as that. Now I'm going to pass you back to Tim, and we'll finish off the rest of the presentation with you.
Thank you, Dan. Hopefully you've seen from Dan's second half of the presentation, beyond the central database, how easy it is as a business to work with all the major bookkeeping products on the market to actually build up those year-end accounts and submit the all-important ICL file with the corporation tax return. And obviously the nice additional benefit relates to the fact that you can also submit the fitted accounts through to Companies House. So that draws a close to today's session. Do please feel free to contact either Dan or myself. You can reach us on the number shown, so that's 0345 241 5030, selecting option number 1 that will get you through to a member of the sales team, principally Dan or I. And there's the option for those who wish to email to do just that. You can contact sales@btcssoftware.co.uk. We'll welcome any questions you may have. Anything that you were hoping to today you haven't seen as a result of the demo, let us know, because it's important for us to get feedback so we can incorporate additional relevant information into sessions that take place further down the line. So without further ado, I wish you well, and we'll hope to speak to you in due course. Thank you. Bye now.